What about a third evoker specialization? Does that interest you? Maybe not because you don't play evoker, but the lore is pointing towards the evokers getting a third spec. What might that spec be? Now, we've talked about this before. The Black Dragon's abilities being cleared from the minds of the Drakthir because of the worries of corruption and things like that. Well, what were Black Dragonflight abilities, you might ask? They were tanking abilities. Yeah. Dragon Bard incoming, maybe. Well, let's see. Let's see what Taliesin and Evitel have to say about what this third spec might be, and then it'll be time to get into it.
Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Reset, Taliesin and Evitel's Wondrous Wisdom Show. In a week where it all kind of kicked off, really, didn't it? A release date for 10.0.7 next week, and a reveal of patch 10.1, the Embers of Neltharion, which set WoW Internet ablaze for a couple of days as we picked over every last detail of presentations and cinematics and interviews, and then the 10.1 PTR right at the very end of the week, which
coming
has
at
meant
you
a
hard
whole
and fast
weekend
and in
of
your face.
playtesting and data mining and controversy, and also just really cool stuff. And I'm not gonna do yet another video of what's in 10.1 today, because everyone, including us, has been doing plenty of that. On this very channel, we have our initial reaction to 10.1 announcements, a deep dive cinematic analysis of Secrets of the Reach, and those Primalist visage forms, which, I'm just gonna say it, they're sexy is what they are. And you might judge me for being more excited about the nasty depraved dungeon gang than the Twink Ship is Magic mega friendship gang, but I am. You're just gonna have to live with that. We've even got a rundown of all the new tier sets on our second channel, Taliesin and Evitel TV. What do you mean you don't watch Taliesin and Evitel TV? But in this episode, yes, of course, we're going to be looking at fun PTR stuff like the Dungeon Journal, with the very exciting final 2 encounters in particular, giving some very strong hints about how this raid will end and what it will set up. And of course, we're going to take a look at the fun new gear and transmogs and mount and models that have been data mined, because of course we will. What do you think we even are? Yes, even that very spoilery one, which is like 10.1 Dragon Isles Underground, please rename this file before you put it in the data level spoilery for a future patch. But the real reason I want to make this video is because I want to look at a data mined quest which hints at a new third playable spec for evokers. And that's not clickbait, okay? When I say hints at, I mean as in the text in the quest explicitly says that's what it's for. And you know, I don't mind taking a look at the new power progression system that will be at the core of a lot of 10.1 gearing, which was the subject of one of the most exhaustive and comprehensive blue posts we've ever seen, which, and this might surprise you, the community has some very strong feelings about. Very excited.
That blue post was so long, I didn't read it. I'll be honest.
About all of that, but I should let you know, Evitel won't be in this episode.
It's like when, you know, when that one girl sent you the like 5 scroll long text. You know, she was a little bit angry. You see it and you're like, I'm not going to read this. And you just lock your phone, go back to sleep.
Today, because she's a mother who has mother things to do, and that's just the way it is right now. But I know everyone hates it.
Someone else will read it for me.
So I have got a special guest to help me today. Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, please welcome everyone's favorite primal incarnate, Firak!
I will devour their hearts.
Yeah, nice one, Firak.
Firak is cool.
I know you meant to say deliver the news in a charming and cheeky way, and I think you'll do just great. Firak?
Kill everyone! Destroy everything!
He's gonna be.
That Firak.
I think he's gonna be the next one to die, because he seems like the overconfident and over angry one. Remember, he comes down and he's like, you know, why don't we just go kill the people who did this to Razagath? And Iridikron looks at him and, you know, tells him to calm down and not underestimate them. I think he's gonna underestimate us, and he's probably the next one to die.
Such a weird psychopath. What is he like? So, we now have a playable PTR with a whole new zone underground. You get to it from overground through a massive hole in the waking shore. Like when that meteor opens up a whole new zone in Elden Ring. And you do literally just fly in. It's like
this is
any
really
old
cool.
cave. No portal,
we looked at this
no
yesterday.
load screen. It's really awesome. This is the only entrance on the PTR currently, but apparently there will be 3 dotted around the Dragon Isles eventually.
Oh, I
and
didn't
the
know that.
Zaralet Cavern is just there, pretty much in its entirety, right now on the PTR. There's no campaign quests in place. Hopefully there never will be. It's just the open space with world quests and elites and treasures and stuff. So not much to really test, but plenty to see. Like the raid location, Aberrus, Neltharian's laboratory. This strange pulsating purpley void thingy. Actually, quite a lot of void thingies. I think we might have to talk about that. And this weird rock formation
void? Why is
sprouting
that
from
there?
the ceiling in the center that certainly looks like a massive gigantic dragon skeleton to me, but whatever. I'm sure that's nothing. Ooh, and snails and
shit.
terrifying nope dogs and mole people. And I know what you're thinking because it's been something
Is
I've
that
mentioned
Galakron's
quite a
claw,
lot
maybe?
as a vague concern of my own in the last week. Is Zaralet Cavern just a little bit familiar feeling in terms of aesthetic and design to some of the environments that we've already spent a lot of time in throughout the first patch of Dragonflight already? Because, you know, there's Jaredin and lava, just like Obsidian Hold.
Right.
Aberrus is literally the secret underground bit of Obsidian Hold after all. There's lots of rocks and there's lots of elementals, which, you know, Vault of the Incarnates had its fair share of rocks and elementals, and I think it is definitely a valid concern to worry that Embers of Neltharion might be repeating one of the big mistakes of Shadowlands. The 9.1 patch basically being a retread of one of the opening max level zones.
9.1 might go down as the worst patch in WoW history. It might go down as the worst patch in WoW history. It was bad.
If 9.1 was more, is 10.1 more, I don't know, rocks and lava and shit? Well, basically,
I don't think so.
Yes, but having
don't
spent
think
a
so.
bit of time flying around
Aesthetically,
doing
yes,
world
but-
quests and stuff this weekend, I do genuinely think it feels different enough
There
to
you go.
work
There you
for a
go.
couple of important reasons. The first is just being underground, which genuinely does feel very unique. There is a thrill to swooping through the cave from outside and arriving in this huge, echoey, cavernous space, and the fact that it is so interconnected to the Dragon Isles helps as well. It
Cool.
doesn't have that sense of weird isolation that a lot of last expansion zones did. There's the fact that not all of the content is in the cavern too, like the Firak assaults, which are currently just our beautiful Sinji boy flying through the Isles, dropping a mini-boss for everyone to fight, which is fine, it is what it is. Best thing about it is actually Firak arriving, because he flies like across the entire continent map with a bunch of void dragons at his side, being
Damn.
more than a little bit reminiscent of Deathwing in Kata, and it's genuinely
You
a
get
bit
an achievement. Remember, you get an achievement for dying in the flames to him.
It's spectacular
Just like you used
and
to in
scary,
Kata.
and then he drops off his little dude and F's off again, and suddenly it's not very scary at all. But it's got potential.
With
The
Deathwing.
main reason that the cavern works as a new zone and doesn't feel like more of the same in the way that Korthia did, though, is one particular new aesthetic: the Shadow Flame. The Shadow Flame is everywhere in the caverns and Aberrus as well. That pink but also orange but also black glow is found
Yes.
on everything, from mobs to bosses to armor and weapons to structures.
Sam's favorite
Blizz is
character.
going hard on this color scheme, and you
I'm gonna
know
get
how
that
much
achievement
I love
title.
a laser-focused,
Best believe
consistent
it.
aesthetic style internet. And the Shadow Flame being everywhere in Ember's content makes it feel very distinctive from what has come in the expansions so far.
Yeah,
The new
this
Black Dragon
purpley
style
fire
sets
is
and
pretty cool.
weapons, they're nice in other colors, but it's the Shadow Flame version that really does it, you know? Hey,
True.
you like fire elementals? You like shadow elementals? They're fine, but it's the Shadow Flame elementals that get all
Ooh,
the
I
dick
see what
around
he's
these
getting- yeah.
parts. I don't want to come across easily pleased here, but honestly, when it comes to just how cool Shadow Flame stuff
does look
looks,
cool.
I
I like
am
it.
apparently very easily pleased. Now, from a story point of view, Shadow Flame has always been a thing in WoW, particularly connected to Neltharion and Black Dragon stuff. But Embers, I think, is really going to delve into how the Earthwarden developed it. And it doesn't take too much imagination to suppose that it might have
What's up, Mac?
something to do with his old god connections, because there is void stuff everywhere in the caverns.
Why?
Especially in the
Why?
raid. Bluebot
Why would there be void stuff there? Oh, interesting.
Spoiler, I guess, but Neltharion is the penultimate boss of Aberos, or rather, an echo, or probably a simulacrum of him, like we've seen with Sindragosa already. And his fight description in the Dungeon Journal features a whole load of shadowy guests and a corruption mechanic.
Oh, wow, look at that. Rushing shadows. Yeah, he's got a lot of void abilities. Corruption, interesting.
For certain classes in your raid. And then the final Sakareth boss fight sees him completely succumbing to the void in a phase called the Seas of Infinity, which sees our boy ripping open void portals to infinity. And look, this is an expansion about the dragonflights, okay? You can't just throw the word infinity around like that if you don't want people to talk, okay? That word means something around these parts.
Do some infinite dragonflight stuff at the end of this patch.
We might be heading somewhere here, doesn't it? And that feeling of the stakes being raised in 10.1 is an exciting one. The first boss of Aberos, by the way, is Kazara, who appears to drop...
This is the mount that you can get, and I need it. I want it. I don't care if I don't get Razageth, but if I don't get this one, I'm going to be sad. I'm going to be sad and I might uninstall. I'm just saying it right now.
A rather incredible appearance as, I guess, a Highland Drake customization, just like Razageth did her look in the Vault of Incarnates.
It's so nice. Yes. As a Death Knight, too. I mean, the shadow and... I need it, man.
Please, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I am down with anything Shadow Flame right now. Like, you put purpley orange glowy shit on a hammer and I'm going to want it, but a dragon... Yeah, Neltharion's plate armor set also appears to be a drop for players if the data is to be believed. All of this is stuff that we're going to be putting in links to specific Wowhead articles in the description below so that you can go and see them all for yourself in your own time, as well as very interesting new class-specific weapons in the data that, I mean... must be new Mage Tower awards, right? Surely, right?
I have that
because
one.
Most of them seem to be based on the original Mage Tower weapons, and which include this Prot Warrior shield. Off. No, off, seriously.
That's a beautiful shield.
Ooh, and also the new Dragon Riding Transmog that's been data mined, which for some reason Wowhead have modelled on a human male, which is a bit silly because we all know it's made specifically for dwarf females.
Right.
Anyway, Embers of Neltharion leaning in very heavily on Void stuff, if not explicitly Old God stuff yet, through Neltharion's development of Shadow Flame and potentially setting up some very interesting things to come. And one of those things appears to be, and this is a Redbot spoiler bot for a minute, okay, because I am certain we are not meant to have seen this, a glaive icon called Emerald Dream Outdoor. For context, all of the 10.1 specific zone gear in Embers is labeled Black Dragon Outdoor. So it certainly feels like this might be another little slip up from Blizz that has
We're gonna get an Emerald Dream
given
patch.
away the location of a future patch in the same way that the Underground file did for 10.1.
Oh shit.
Doubly convincing because of just how expected an Emerald Dream patch would be. We made a video back in the Dragonflight Alpha called We Will Go to the Emerald Dream in patch 10.3. So Blizz, if you are on the fence about it being a 10.2 or 10.3 thing, I just think it would be really good in 10.3 for no particular reason. You should probably go and watch that video again because it definitely looks like it is coming. I mean, you wouldn't have to worry about any similar aesthetics there, would you?
Emerald Dream would be cool. I'd like a patch about that.
The Emerald Dream would be a major change of vibe from the Underground. There's all the Tyrande and Marithra and Ysera.
I wonder if we're going to get the whole seed planting shit going down too for the Emerald Dream part of this. Because remember, the Night Elves are kind of holding on to a seed that might be capable of creating a new world tree. They're just holding it right now. So that thing is to be planted. Maybe that's what happens.
Era and world tree stuff to sort out, which the Dream would make a perfect setting for.
Said it too.
And you know, it's also just a nice symmetry having the Dragon Isles expansion also be the Emerald Dream expansion, since both are famous for being half-built, unfinished zones that were planned but never made it to the original vanilla game.
Right.
Can we just go back to Shadow Flame just for a little bit? Because also found in the data this week, a very exciting quest line, which is EVOKER only, and sees these players help Abyssian free and eventually fight the dragon Adamanthia. Now, Adamanthia is someone that we will learn about in books and messages found around the Forbidden Reach in 10.0.7. Because yeah, don't forget, that patch hasn't even come out yet. The dragonflight content train is moving so fast that the back is literally catching up with the front. So I guess blue bot spoiler here, but Adamanthia is the dragon who appears to be the most responsible for creating the Drakthir on Neltharion's orders. Essentially, their mother? She is the first one who realized that they had free will, and who, again on Neltharion's orders, extracted the black dragonflight essence from
That's what I was talking
which is
about.
why they don't have any black
That's what I was talking about. Why they have no black dragonflight talents or abilities, and most of them were melee abilities. Oh.
Dragonflight themed spells.
Oh,
she
maybe a
apparently
melee class.
exists in the subconscious of
Maybe a
many
melee
Drakthir,
spec.
like a kind of half-remembered dream. So meeting her in 10.1 is interesting enough by itself, but the most interesting bit is probably the bit in the opening quest text that says, upon login, you are toasted with new specialization remembered. Which, like, I don't want to be clickbaity or hyperbolic about this, okay? But there's really not much else you can read into that isn't
pretty
a
much says
new
it.
third playable specialization for Drakthir evokers, unlocked in 10.1 via this questline. A questline which looks to re-infuse the Drakthir with Black Dragon Essence. And, you know, the spec that everyone wants is tank, right? And the Black Dragonflight are the Earthy Dragonflight, the most tanky of all the elements, which is why you make tanks out of Earth, because they're the best tanks, everyone knows that. Or it could be another range spec. Some people have even speculated a support spec, like a bard type thing, which I sincerely doubt, but whatever it is.
I think it's going to be a tanking spec, personally. I think they're going to get a tanking spec. Or maybe a melee DPS spec, but it's going to be something, you know, very in your face, I should
The
say.
text does say new specialization.
Tidewell doesn't.
I really don't think people are being unreasonable in thinking that there is a third evoker spec on the way, which would be unprecedented, frankly. Just to be like, yeah, have a brand new extra spec for this class halfway through an expansion, which they didn't even mention as a 10.1 feature when they announced the patch. That would be ludicrous.
By the way, I love that. If this is, well, I mean, I wouldn't say if. It looks like it is. The fact that this is being added to the game and it was not part of like the roadmap or any kind of spoiler from Blizzard, I like that. I love it when we get a little bit of extra something. This is not even a little bit. This is an entirely new spec for their new class. But as something extra that we weren't expecting, I always find that to be great.
Completely.
I feel like data mining has kind of ruined that in the past, but lately they've been able to add some shit in that people don't catch right away.
Believable. If it didn't literally say the words new specialization remembered.
It is pretty cool.
I don't know what to tell you, fam. I think it might be a new spec. The only thing I can possibly think of that might fit that isn't a new spec is like an evoker version of the Mist's Green Fire quest for Warlocks, which was much more involved than this and awarded them the green fire effects on their spells. It's awesome, it's iconic, it's basically mandatory if you want to be taken seriously as a Warlock these days, and it's feasible that this could be similar. A questline that unlocks Black Dragonflight, or even better, Shadow Flame effects for their existing two specs. Now
would be cool.
I could believe. That seems like the kind of thing Blizzard would do. But the text does say new specializations.
I think it's pretty straightforward.
If I had to bet money right now, how can I say anything apart from, yeah, it's a new spec? I'd probably guess at the tank spec, cool Earth and Shadow Flame themed spells. It would be totally badass, and I would be here for it with bells on. And I don't want to clickbait, okay? I don't want to get too excited, but I mean, it literally says new specializations. So what do you think? Let us know in the comments below what this could be that isn't a new spec, okay? Because it can't be a new spec, right? But it says new spec. So help me out here. What am I missing? Why is this not a new spec? Because it can't be a new spec. I mean, I can't. What do you think, Firak?
Devour their hearts.
Yeah. The other big deal I wanted to talk about today is the new power progression system based around a currency called Shadow Flame Crests, which we are going to call the Shadow Flame Crest upgrade system for the rest.
I'll say something about this. The whole no borrowed power thing. Yeah. This system definitely, the more I've seen it, the more I'm like, yeah, this is borrowed power, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, they couldn't help themselves. They had to put it in at some point. So we're getting some borrowed power, I guess. We'll see how hard it is to do or how annoying it is to grind. Hopefully it's not too bad.
Of this video seems sensible. Blizzard put out a ludicrously comprehensive blue post explaining every minute detail of this plan.
We're getting a ring that we can essentially continually upgrade. Right, upgrade its item level by upgrading the little things, the stats that you slot into it. So
Valor replacing system, and as such is a huge wall of text, which is obviously quite intimidating to open the page and see, right? Potentially very overwhelming, especially when it is explaining a conceptual system not yet in place on the PTR. But luckily, the WoW content creator community were on hand to explain everything in a more simple and user-friendly way to keep player confusion at a minimum. And you know who were especially thankful for the genuinely good work put in by Bell and Soul and others on this? The forums, who were standoffish at first and naturally resistant to what looked like such a big change, but who quickly realized that in fact Shadowflame crests aren't just very straightforward, but in many ways are what a lot of people have been asking for a while now, and sang the praises of Blizzard for outlining so carefully every aspect of the shit show, obviously. Holy fish, actually too long, didn't read. Fish system that no one wants. Sorry, but if you need to
the first comment is me. The first comment is me, 100%. I did not read the post because it's too long.
That no one wants. Sorry, but if you need to write a 10,000 word essay on how to upgrade gear, it might be a little too convoluted. They just couldn't help themselves. Ripped a fuss. So feedback for future blue posts, Blizz. Please do communicate everything with us all the time, but also always do it in 30 words or less, otherwise we are likely to get angry and confused.
Yeah, I didn't read it.
The way I always think about stuff like this is...
It's too long, didn't read it. Just like that X is, you know, like I said, 3 to 5 scroll long text. Not going to read that. No way.
We all agree that tying your shoelace is incredibly simple and easy, right? Yet I defy anyone to be able to describe how to tie a shoelace in just the written word and make it sound in any way as simple as it actually is. Any written guide to tying your...
Hold on. A guide to tying your shoelace? That's very easy.
Want to learn how to tie your shoe? It's a very easy thing to do.
Yeah.
You sit on down and I'll give you the scoop. What's that?
It's called a loop-de-loop. Yeah, this is easy. What is he talking about? You make a loop-de-loop and pull. What is that, like 10 words? Get the hell out of here. I could do that.
Your shoelace is always going to sound much more complicated.
Oh, I'm saying you could just write, you make a loop-de-loop and pull. There you go. That's written word. I could have written that in the post. Done.
And that's definitely what's happening here with this Shadowflame crest description, except that actually this doesn't even seem complicated or hard, to be honest. And there are some very well put together videos and explanations on this already, with graphics and spreadsheets and all sorts, but this is my video, so I will now tell you what it is in under 45 seconds, okay? Every level of Season 2 gear that drops in 10.1, so that's from Raid, Dungeon, World Quest, everything except Crafted and PvP, will be upgradable to a maximum of 8 levels, which is 24 item levels.
Hold on. He started this explanation. I actually need this.
So I will now tell you what it is in under 45 seconds, okay? Every level of Season 2 gear that drops in 10.1, so that's from Raid, Dungeon, World Quest, everything except Crafted and PvP, will be upgradable to a maximum of 8 levels, which is 24 item levels, or Mythic Raid level, whichever comes first. To upgrade each level, you are going to need lots of Flight Stones, which drop from everything, all the time, and one Shadow Flame Crest, which drop from the usual various activities. Which of the 4 different types of Shadow Flame Crest you will need will depend on how high the item level that you are upgrading to is, with higher level crests dropping from higher level content. If in doubt, take your gear to any upgrade vendor and they will tell you exactly how much it can be upgraded and exactly what it'll cost. The end. Was that 45 seconds?
That's a replacement for Valor. Yeah, somebody said that earlier. I mean, I thought he was going to get into the ring thing, which is the borrowed power thing. This is an upgrade system. Yeah. to replace
I don't
Valor.
even know. Was it complicated, though? No, I don't really think so. Like most of these types of systems, it's probably going to work better as a bad luck protection or catch-up than anything else. But, I mean, I think it sounds pretty straightforward and essentially quite passive, which is a good thing. And at any rate, it is not really implemented on the PTR yet, so if it's okay, I'm going to hold off any kind of deep dive until it is. My initial feedback, though, honestly, I don't even care about item level. I will happily pay you 10 Shadow Flame prisms to put cool Shadow Flame effects on my gear, though, Blizz. That's something to think about. Oh, good episode, that. Okay, Firak, you ready for the sofa bit?
The sofa is on fire! I have devoured its heart!
Oh, okay, there's no sofa bit this week.
There really wasn't. Okay. All right. Yeah, that was pretty good. Pretty good explanation of things. Interesting stuff. The coolest thing there is the Evoker's third specialization, obviously. Third spec for Evokers. You know what else is cool? Mythic rating. Yeah, let's get into Mythic rating.